Hello everyone, welcome to the first episode of United States of America in Kaiserreich. So let's start. First off, I'm not really sure what path I will take. I'll probably take either the Pacific Federation or the United Pacific Front, I don't know what it's called, or I'll go with MacArthur. Okay, so first off, I like to group all of these armies. I don't really think it will make a bunch of difference because I believe they get lost when the war starts. But until then, I'll make them stand on the east coast. Okay, I'm going to national focus. I can take this. Okay, I'm going to hold off for this for a little bit and invest in all of these things. So let's get support equipment, let's get basic machine tools, construction, and well, they have that. Let's get mechanical computing. Okay. Then okay, the United States in 1936. In 1936, the United States of America are gripped by unrelenting crisis. Although able to avoid the horrors of the Weltkrieg, which allowed its prosperity to continue well into the 1920s. German victory in the Weltkrieg, followed by the French and British revolutions, led to the Wall Street crash of 1925. This sent the United States spiraling into the Great Depression and allowed the Berlin stock market to take its place at the forefront of the world economy. The elections of Herbert Hoover in 1928, while initially promising, failed entirely to reverse the decline of the American economy, and by 1936 the country had spent over a decade in the midst of the worst financial crisis it had ever seen. This fueled the rise of radical parties in America, from the far-left Socialist Party of America to the far-right America First Party. Hoover's contentious re-election by means of the House of Representatives in 1932 and the ongoing Great Depression means that these problems are unlikely to be resolved anytime soon. Many throughout the country fear the upheaval that would result should one of the extreme parties come to power, or should the depression continue unabated. God bless America. Activates mission, deal with the Great Depression. This. So the Great Depression has left the United States reeling, and President Hoover's government has been struggling to deal with the fallout. The last hope is to pass a bill that will finally get some relief in the hands of those who need it, if Congress can work quickly enough. So one of the following must be true. Has completed focus, the bill fails. Or all of the following must be true. Has completed focus, demand repayment of war debts. Has completed focus, shipyard funding scheme. Effects if not completed within 300 days. Game-based stability. The America First Party greatly gains political power. The Socialist Party of America greatly gains political power. Okay. So, let's go. Let's see. What does this do? So it's just Army reform, Air Force, US Navy. Those are bonuses for the troops. Okay, let's go with reintroduce the Wagner bill. Okay. Now, Fisherland factories. I don't know if I should build anything. I'll hold off for on that for now, and I'll build some of these. Get this up like this. Okay. Rubber is a problem. That can wait. I have 140 civilian factories. Then I can probably go for this. Let's get Brazil, because we don't need convoys for that. Okay. Let's get this basic small airframe. Missing equipment, support equipment. Okay, let's put support equipment here. Place it here. And get some like this. Okay. Let's speed it up. Okay. Gardner-Wegner bill reintroduced, with assurances made by President Hoover that, unlike in 1932, this time he will not veto the bill. Democratic Senator Robert Wagner and Speaker of the House John Nance Garner have reintroduced their unemployment relief legislation package. Many in Congress feel that the package does not go nearly far enough, while others wonder how America, in the midst of a massive economic crisis, will possibly ever pay for it. The presence of senators from the AFP and the SPA also complicates things immensely. Even with Hoover's pledge, it's unknown if Gardner-Wegner has a real chance of passing. We shall see. Okay. Assassination of President Kerensky. Okay, voting rights in the Legislation Council. Okay. The Legislation Council. Delegation cities were formed in 1928 as a result of our intervention in the Zhili-Fengtian, I'm sorry if I butcher these names, conflict that was soon going to spill over into open war between the two other powers in the Far East, Germany and Japan. While we obviously wished to end the conflict, we also found it in our power to create a lasting solution to the imperial rivalry in China, as well as push our open door policy. So we forced the other powers to merge their concessions in China into one conglomerate, consisting of all official concessions in China, as well as a 30-mile neutral zone. Delegation cities, officially known as the International Mandate for Chinese Concessions, also host a forum, Delegation Council, for the various powers with interest in China to resolve disputes and work together. Naturally, we have a vote on this council, and we are often the deciding factor between the Japanese and Germans, with the secondary powers mostly playing second fiddle to us. Our voice is usually one that speaks for keeping the status quo of an open door to China for all powers, which helpfully lets everyone benefit without having to involve themselves with individual Chinese factions. To American citizens, delegation cities represents not only a great way to get rich, but a shining example of American forward thinking and our commitment to peace. A perfect arrangement. We get some political power. That's always nice. Oh, we have also here in Puerto Rico. Let's put these in one. And I think I saw somewhere. Oh, in Alaska. Okay, let's put that. And where else? Hawaii. Okay. Is that everyone? Yes. Long and read demand charges. As expected, the early challenges to the Gardner-Wegner bill have come from the AFP and the SPA. Hugh Long and his AFP senators have demanded a vast increase in the social security provisions the bill provides, provisions most other senators say America could never afford. Jack Reed and the SBA, meanwhile, say the bill doesn't do enough to protect the average worker, particularly from exploitation by struggling corporations. Both parties have attracted a lot of media attention, adding to the general sense of disorder and tension in Congress. Interesting. Okay, we still have some outdated equipment. That's the Navy. Okay, so we have the Great Depression. Consumer goods factories 40%, construction speed minus 25%, production efficiency cap minus 15%, capital ships production cost plus 50%. Political crisis. Okay. Political crisis, daily political power cost plus 1, weekly stability minus 1, weekly war support minus 1%. Holds minor territories we currently either lease or directly own important but diminutive territories around the world. Cuba. Okay. Fruits of the open door. The reasons gain efficiency plus 5%, construction speed plus 5%, factory output plus 5%. The current setup of the location cities benefits us the most. Okay, let's read this first. Benefits us the most as we conduct much of our business and diplomacy in China through Shanghai without having to actively maintain our investments. The Japanese and Germans may have their horses in the race for Chinese dominance, but we will satisfy ourselves with getting rich. Nice. No balance of power. Or until only free trade, civilian economy. Okay. Herbert Clark Hoover. Let's read first. Senators break ranks. After weeks of negotiations, a number of establishment senators have broken ranks over the coming vote on the Gardner-Wagner bill. Most notably Robert Wagner, one of the bill's proposers, who says he will not vote for the bill unless protections for federal unemployment insurance are re-added. Many other Democrat and Republican senators are concerned about the influence of the AFP and the SBA, and claim they will not vote for the bill if any concessions are made to either group, though others say that not courting either the AFP or the SBA will make passage difficult if not impossible. President Hoover will need to intervene in order to save the bill. Okay, the pledge support to the Wagner and the establishment senators force the establishment to compromise with the AFP or force the establishment to compromise with the SBA. Okay. So let's go with pledge support to Wagner. Because I don't want to. The America First Party, I believe, is the South of America. The SBA is the Socialists. I'll go with Wagner, and whatever that brings us. Okay, let's go for speed. Okay, Afghanistan. Okay, Black Monday just hit. Fifth Anglo-Afghani War. Afghanistan declared war on the Dominion of India. Okay, let's read this. Sorry. Long and Reed furious. Both Huey Long's AFP and Jack Reed's SBA have reacted with fury at President Hoover's endorsement of establishment senators. That's to be expected, yes. They have vowed to sink the Gardner-Wagner bill, claiming that the public is being deceived by a corrupt government which refuses to recognize the reality of America. While the parties have both gained a considerable boost in support from their base, Democratic and Republican fortunes have improved somewhat, and there is a feeling that both have a better chance going into the next election, provided the bill actually passes. Let's hope it does. The American First Party gains political power, as well as the Socialist Party of America, and the North Carolina AFK control will be increased. Minnesota SBA control will be increased. Change in popularity of market liberalism, 3%. Change in popularity of social liberalism, 4%. Let's hope it does. Okay. electoral gridlock in France. Let's read first this. Black Monday hits America. Despite the political turmoil and ineffectual economic relief programs, it seems to many that as if the economy of the United States might finally be undergoing a slow recovery after the Wall Street crash of 1925. Black Monday has put an end to such hopes and has sounded the death knell for an already ailing economy. Republicans and Democrats have both pledged to fix the economy should they win the election, though public confidence in them is rapidly waning. Both Reid and Long have railed hard against the corrupt banking and political sectors, which they blame for allowing the crash to happen. This is just not our year. Game-based stability minus 10%, modified the Great Depression by consumer goods factories plus 10%, and construction speed minus 15%. Production efficiency cap minus 5%, capital ships production cost plus 50%. So we are getting a really huge hit here, right? Where's the Great Depression? Yeah, 50%, minus 40%, minus 20%, plus 100%. So it's really bad. The coalition ticket. The 1936 election is looking to be one of the most contentious in American history. Many politicians within the upper circle of the Republican and Democratic parties fear that a victory by the Socialist Party of America or the America First Party would mean the end of America and the American way of life. In order to avoid this, a plan has been proposed within the halls of power to form a coalition ticket between the Republican and Democratic parties, with former Labor Governor Floyd Olson of Minnesota as presidential candidate. This plan is unlikely to be popular with lower-ranking members of the parties, but it may be the only thing that can prevent the radical parties from gaining strength. A coalition, if you can keep it, minus 200 political power, or a coalition would debase the democratic system. So I think because I want the civil war to happen, I think I'll choose this. I don't want a 200 political power hit because I don't really care. Let's go with this. Okay. Crime spree. The Austrian Empire withdraws from Italy. Crime spree sweeps the nation. As America spirals ever deep into chaos, there has been a wave of crime throughout the country. Many of these criminals are getting sensationalist news stories about their activities, especially gangsters like John Dillinger and the scandalous Bonnie and Clyde. Thankfully, the Bureau of Investigation has been working hard to catch these criminals and bring some order back into America. Of course, the AFP and SPA have begun attributing these crimes to moral decline and robber baronies respectfully. Stop right there, criminal scum. Game-based stability minus 5%. We're really getting a hit to stability. Minus 33%. Wow. The illusion of Qing. Okay. Hegemony shatters. So. Okay. Yeah, the China thing is crazy. Voting commences on the Gardner-Wagner bill. Voting has now begun on the Gardner-Wagner bill with Congress divided between AFP, SPA and establishment senators. Whether or not the bill will pass is anything but certain. Even if the bill passes, the question of where its funding will come from remains without an answer. However, if it fails, the consequences will be disastrous and widespread violence can be expected. The bill is approved, the bill is shut down. So I think it changes this. So, what do we want? If the bill fails, we can go with War Plan White, MacArthur's plan. If the bill passes, we go with the Hawking plan. What do we want to go with? Let's go with the bill fails. Why not? And then war plan white. Deploy the National Guard, MacArthur's plan. Let's go with the bill is shut down. I think that will make America fall, right? The Garner bill fails. After an incredibly close vote in Congress, the Garner-Wagner bill failed to pass. While several groups are declaring personal victory, protests have broken out in various parts of the country. There will be no relief for the American worker, and many have declared the government to be corrupt and dysfunctional. There will be considerable time for blame, but for the moment the Hoover government's concerns must turn to the growing violence throughout American cities. Violence which is expected to only worsen in the months leading up to the election. All that for nothing. Wow. Okay, all that for nothing. The bill fails. We can't go with anything here. We can go with... I don't think that will really change anything. So let's go with war plan white. America is not looking good. Minus 200 political power, 20% power, popularity, minus 35% stability. Okay, paramilitary militias forming. With violence and instability sweeping the country, the AFP and the SPA have begun to form various paramilitary militias, which they claim are necessary to protect the people. The AFP have called their group the Minutemen, while the SPA has named their forces the Red Guards. Seen patrolling their strongholds and party rallies, these well-armed and equipped paramilitary units have already engaged in scattered, though extremely violent conflicts. We believe the paramilitaries are modifying civilian firearms, and the FBI's attempts to seize weapon stockpiles are too slow to stop gun runners. This could turn very bad, very fast. This is not good. We want that. Okay, Cuban tariffs. Though the Platt Amendment, which governed Cuban-American trade and relations, have annulled, and its successor requires only minor trade concessions on the part of the Cubans, a delegation has arrived from Cuba to petition for the abrogation of one portion of the current treaty. As part of the new Treaty of Cuban-American Relations, Cuba is required to levy substantial tariffs against non-American products. This, the Cubans argue, has caused great economic harm and contributed to the recent near collapse of its government. To prevent another incident such as that which recently befell their nation, they say we must concede our position on this issue. They must respect the treaty. It is the only way. Okay, it is the only way. Because I don't really feel like they are going to keep this treaty when we fall apart. So it is the only way. Okay. The death of Pius XI. Arthur Horner, elected chairman of the TUC of Britain. Syndicalists take over Australasia. Democratic coalition established in Mexico. Great. Now we wait. Okay. St. Patrick's Day flood. On March 16th, 1936, warmer than usual temperatures led to the melting of large amounts of snow and ice on the upper Allegheny and Monongahela rivers. The rivers and the tributaries had already overflowed their banks and were soon threatening the city of Pittsburgh. On March 17th, 1936, the water reached a flood stage of 25 feet. Then, overnight heavy rain caused the water to rise even higher, and on March 18th, the water peaked at about 46 feet, 21 feet above the flood stage. This is the worst such a size in the city's history, and local authorities have already been have already requested federal aid. Let's go with must help people. More AFP members announcing congressional bids. While there have been a number of lawmakers from the America First Party in its brief life, particularly in the South, the 1936 election has been an unprecedented number of people registering to run for office under the banner of the AFP, and just as many, if not more, nationwide, pledging to vote for them. Interesting. The First International Congress. Okay. Nanjing clique capitulated. See what's going on there. Pius XII elected as new pope. Good luck. So who's at war here? These two are at war. Okay, let's go. With the Democrats and Republicans fighting among themselves, as usual, more and more Americans are feeling alienated from the traditional big two and are flocking to the radical AFP and SPA throughout the country. In these dark times, the distinction between genuine social reform and graft is hard to distinguish. Those under the radical banner in their political enclaves have received some social welfare. Share our wealth donations from the AFP and international red aid from the SPA. The party machine of these radicals utilizes mass media to a much stronger degree than either the Republicans or Democrats. It is looking more and more like the 1936 election we come down to read or long. This is really bad. Okay. Warplan White. Warplan White. The time has come to dust off one of the American military's color-coded war plans, this one meant for dealing with domestic disturbances and insurgencies. It cannot come a moment too soon, as violence is escalating in areas where AFP and the SPA have been contending with the local authorities for dominance. Minnesota and North Carolina are two states where the violence is at its height, and at the moment we can only focus our efforts in one place. So, if you go with the Pacific, the SPA are going to be in the north, and probably will get the help of Canada. But with the AFP, I think we're going to be alone. So I'm going to focus on the AFP in North Carolina. Deploy National Guard. Or demand repayment of war debts. They're going to hate me for this. I'm not going to do that because I want their help. Deploy the National Guard. Let's go. The 1936 Stanley Cup. Two teams have made it into the 1936 Stanley Cup finals. The Toronto Maple Leafs, making their 6th appearance, and the Detroit Red Wings, making their 2nd appearance and still hungry to win their first cup. With only a brief interruption at the first game in Detroit, with demonstrations by the Socialist Party of America disrupting proceedings outside the stadium, the series has gone off without a hitch and captivated audiences in both countries. Who will win? Who will take home the cup this year? Come on, Detroit. So I think we're really close to... Okay, Toronto wins the Stanley Cup. Toronto has vanquished Detroit in a 4-game series of the Stanley Cup, bringing the Canadian team their 4th victory in the finals. Once again, the kid line of Charlie Conacher, Harry Busher Jackson and Joe Primo has brought the Stanley Cup to Toronto. We'll win next year. More SPA, Republican Revolution in Iran. More SPA members announcing congressional bids. While there have been a number of lawmakers on the Socialist Party of America in the past few decades, particularly in the Steel Belt, the 1936 election has been an unprecedented number of people has seen an unprecedented number of people registering to run for office under the banner of the SPA, and just as many, if not more, nationwide, pledging to vote for them. Interesting. Special election in Washington. Following the death of Senator Wesley Lloyd, a special election has been called in Washington to fill his seat. The frontrunners are SP activist John F. McKay and Democratic Congressman John Main Coffey. Polls have just closed and the winner appears to be we're going to be the Democratic Party. We don't want socialists. Special elections in New Jersey. Following Senator A. Harry Moore's resignation in order to run for governor, a special election has been called in New Jersey to select his replacement. The frontrunners are Democrat John Gerald Milton and AFP spokesman Charles Lindbergh. Polls have just closed and the winner appears to be as well. Same. We're not going to go with the AFP, we're going to go with the Democrats. Great. Let's see what happens. Panama pressures Costa Rica. The Panamanians have begun a small-scale military assault on the Coto region of Costa Rica, which they have had a claim on for some time. We should threaten intervention to prevent this turning into a full-scale war. Let us intervene. May Day riots. May Day, International Workers' Day. This is a holiday that the Socialist Party celebrates with numerous parades and speeches and has since its founding. Generally, things are peaceful, though there have been confrontations with the police. However, this time things are more violent than normal. Clashes between the socialists and the local police, backed up by the AFP, have occurred around the country. The question is, who is at fault? The socialists declared that things were peaceful till the police and the AFP goons arrived on the scene. The AFP saying that the socialists began by assaulting unionized workers and have blurry photos they claim are guns the SPA were brandishing. Let's go with the police were at fault. Panama backs down. After hearing of America's support for Costa Rica and not willing to escalate the situation into a full-blown conflict, the forces of Panama have begun to back down across the region. This is a victory for American diplomacy abroad. The Monroe Doctrine stands. Okay, I think that's the perfect moment to end the episode here. So, that's the end of the first episode of America in Kaiserreich, and I hope I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.